Welcome everybody to the TuxCare stream. Hopefully you are staying hydrated. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is your resident senior developer advocate at TuxCare, your boy Chris. It is a new season. It is a new month. We are in the month of December. Hopefully, you like the Christmas countdown. I have a Christmas background. You just can't see it right now, but you will be able to see it here once I bring my guest up on the stage. If you're not familiar with TuxCare, we do amazing things in the cybersecurity world, area, genre, universe. We have a couple different products out there. One called Kernel Care, where you do live rebootless patching for Linux distributions. And the one that I support is endless lifecycle support for frameworks, libraries, and applications. So if you're running an older version of Angular, AngularJS, or Python, or .NET, or Java, we secure those dependencies for you. You pull them in, and then you are secure, as well as the transitive dependencies. So if you are not following us on Twitter, make sure that you are giving us a follow. Twitter.com/TuxCare or X.com/TuxCare. If you're not following me, make sure that you do that. Twitter.com/SaltandBurnham. If you are a Supernatural fan, you will understand that reference. And then head over to TuxCare.com and see what we got going on over there. You might be amazed at some of the cool things that we are doing. Without further ado, I want to bring up a buddy of mine, really, really nice cat. Spent many a conference with him, and we'll bring him up on the stage. My buddy, Adam Rackis. What's going on, Adam?
Not much. How are you, Chris? Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. How are you doing, man?
Wonderful. Enjoying this
Awesome.
crisp December weather.
I know. It's we got some snow the other day. We got a handful of inches. They predicted close to 7, but the weather people are never right. So
that brings back memories growing up in upstate New York. That lake effect snow. It just piles up and keeps coming.
Yeah, totally. So let our audience know, if they're not familiar with who you are, what you do, where you work, your whole gig.
Yeah, I'm a senior software engineer at Spotify. I do mostly some web engineering. I do some back-end engineering. Occasionally, they'll let me touch some Postgres stuff, do some query optimization. I'll work on whatever they let me work on. It's a lot of fun. And free time, normally I'm checking out what's new in web development type stuff. I've gotten into TanStack a lot the last year or two. That's a good summary for me. I'm happy to go into any more detail that you might be interested in.
Awesome. Well, too, if you want to follow Adam on Twitter or X, X.com, Twitter.com/Adam Rackis, you'll be able to see all the cool things that he's tweeting. A lot of TanStack, a lot of HTMX stuff. Very, very insightful things. I've seen you give a talk before. The way you, and I told you this after the talk, the way you deliver your talk it's very insightful. You don't go over the top with jargon. You make it very consumable for people who are just getting into whatever it is you're talking about. So that is much appreciated.
Oh, that means the world. Thank you so much for the kind words.
So TanStack, you said TanStack. Let's see. The title of this stream is "What is TanStack Start?" Adam Rackis schools us. I've heard TanStack thrown around. I've never used it. So what is TanStack all about? Give us a rundown. Give us some history about it. What it is.
Sure. So TanStack Start is sort of like a server wrapper around TanStack Router. TanStack Router is a JavaScript framework. Came out some number of years ago from the TanStack people, Tanner Lindsley, as well as his team of just incredibly smart, cracked engineers that work on this stuff. It is probably the most type-safe JavaScript framework I've ever seen. Type-safe routing, type-safe query parameters, type-safe. You can put HTML links in to link to other pages, and it will verify that you have a valid URL, valid query parameters, valid search parameters. It's really insanely cool. It was just a front-end SPA type JavaScript framework, and it was incredible. And then Start sort of adds a server layer to that, so that you can get server-side routing, so that you can get so that you can add your own backend, your own API endpoints, so that you can do server-side stuff as well, connect to a database or whatever. So you get that same type-safe JavaScript framework, and now you can get your server-side rendering on that. If you're curious why server-side rendering matters, I gave a talk in React Miami. It's my pinned tweet, or maybe we'll talk about it here some.
So how does this differ from other SPAs, other SPAs?
Sure. So the type-safe routing is the main thing for me. Also, the way that they handle their loaders is really cool. There's a ton of options. It's very powerful. It's got very good integration with TanStack Query, or React Query as it was known for a lot of years, for each route and sub route. It comes with all the goodies that things like Remix introduced a few years ago, shared layouts, nested layouts. You can do all that with TanStack Router. You can specify routers for your individual path, for your layout that covers many paths underneath. You can integrate it with React Query. And then, of course, you add TanStack Start on top of that, and you keep all the things that you already have. And now you get server-side rendering out of the box.
That's really cool. So you mentioned that it's a talk you're going to be doing at React Miami, or you did it last year?
I did it last year. It's my pinned tweet.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What was the talk about? Yeah, what was it? What was it all about?
So it was sort of a long view history of where web frameworks have come from and how they've evolved and why they've evolved. So for a lot of years, we got really into single page applications, SPAs. And the reason for that, like they get a lot of hate today. And that's, I kind of hate the hate that they get, because SPAs were great and they existed for a very valid reason, right? Because we started building more and more richly interactive software applications inside the browser. And the old original OG model of how the web works, posting forms to an endpoint and then getting back a fresh HTML page, that doesn't really work for a richly interactive software application like a music player, or whatever your favorite example of a richly, like a Jira page with drag and drop tasks and creating new tasks and having them show up in the right column, whatever. Just posting a form and having a fresh HTML page download, that doesn't really fit to that. So we started building the whole thing in the browser so that we could control everything. But we gave up one little small thing with that, and that was the server-side rendering. And the reason that matters is mainly for your initial page performance. So with the old model of how the web works, when you hit a web page, a URL, you get back the whole page and it renders in your browser. You get the HTML back. With an SPA, all you get is an empty shell, and then you get a bunch of round trips with the network requesting script files, requesting data, and then your your client-side browser code spins everything up. And those round trips across the network, as you're requesting those script files, as you're spinning up your code, as you're requesting data from the browser, those round trips are really, really expensive. And so your user is just looking at a loading spinner for a few hundred milliseconds, which might not be the end of the world. If you're using Jira, you just look at the loading spinner and life goes on. But, we're engineers. And so we started building better tools, and we started evolving our tools so that we wouldn't have to make that trade-off. And TanStack Router and TanStack Start is my favorite example of that. You get the richly interactive SPA code where you build the whole thing with client-side JavaScript, but now it also integrates smoothly and easily with server-side rendering. So you still get that initial paint with your content, and then you get back a SPA essentially.
That's cool. So I'm going to open this browser up real quick. I'm going to go check this out. So TanStack, high quality open source software for web developers. I'm going to see if I can share this screen. Where is my browser? Actually, you know what? Would you be able to pull up the TanStack site and share your screen?
I can try. Let's see.
Cool.
Share screen. Allow entire screen. All right, let me know if you have it.
I got it.
All right, so this is the TanStack page. There's a bunch of different TanStack products. So this very topmost hamburger menu, we're on Start right now. You can also go to Router. So remember, Router is the SPA framework, and then Start exists so that we can add server-side rendering and server-side support for like API endpoints, server functions, and such. The docs page is here. There is a quick start guide. And the place I would start is right here. You've got this sort of CLI that scaffolds an entire app so you can just get started quickly. And I should be able to pull up a terminal. And I've got this empty folder, demo TuxCare. It is empty. I'm going to do it live. Cross your fingers. I just pasted that command in there. What would you like to name your project? We'll just say demo. Do you want to use Tailwind? Of course. I'm not a big ESLint fan. No offense to Nick, he's a great dude. And then it'll let you integrate with just a ton of different things. At the very least, you're probably going to want React Query. It's called TanStack Query, so I always check that box. I have the last vestiges of a little wintertime cough here, so sorry if my voice is a little scratchy. That's why. And now it's installing our dependencies. I'm going to let that cook for a second. If you want like a high-level introduction to any of this stuff, I wrote on. If you go to Front End Masters at Rackis, just Google that. Here's my page with all the stuff I've written for Front End Masters. I've got a 3-part blog introduction to TanStack Router, and then I've got an introduction to TanStack Start. Talk about why it matters. We talk about all those round trips that we do with an SPA. We talk about how TanStack sort of solves that for us. And then I've got a deeper post on middleware specifically. Maybe we can talk about a few of those things today. And in that time, here we go. All right. So we finished installing our stuff. Now we can open that up in our favorite editor. I'm using Cursor these days. And we've got our whole product, our whole project scaffolded. It throws up a few routes for us by default. It throws up a few server functions, I think. You can explore that, spin it up, get it running. npm run dev should get our dev server running. I set this up a few minutes before the stream started. I can look at the right command, but I'm going to come back to Chris. Uh-oh, I did the infinity thing. Where's the, let's see. There we go. All right, we're back. So that's where you can go get things started.
I noticed that on the TanStack site, like the homepage, and this was kind of going to lead into my next question. It's got over 4 billion? I can't math right now. 4 billion NPM downloads, over 113 stars, 13,000 stars on GitHub, over 2,000 contributors on GitHub, a bunch of open source libraries like you were talking about, TanStack Start, Router, Query, Database Store, Pacer, Tableform, Virtual Dev Tools, Config.
Yeah, TanStack, like it's a whole umbrella of the highest quality software you'll ever use. He's got one of the most incredible teams working with him. They are incredible engineers from top to bottom.
Wow.
By the way, I was in the wrong folder and npm run dev. I was just in the folder, so that's why it failed. It works otherwise.
So with the amount of NPM downloads that we're seeing, I'm guessing this is, I don't know, I didn't see if it was weekly or not. Let me go back to the website. I'll go to the actual NPM downloads, TanStack. I think this just might be in general, but with the amount of NPM downloads, you're more ingrained into the TanStack world than I am, because like I've never used it, right? I always hear about it. I hear you talk about it. I follow Tanner on Twitter. What is the adoption rate of using TanStack over other spas like React and Vue? And I guess you could throw Angular in there too, even though Angular is a full, application framework. What's the adoption rate look like?
Here, I'm gonna post this into the group chat. That's the npm page for TanStack Router. It's only at 1.1 million weekly downloads, but the really impressive thing is the trend line. It's just up and to the right. Like it is one of the most loved and eagerly adopted tools out there. TanStack Start, the server layer, that is in release candidate status. It's brand new, so don't expect impressive download numbers on that yet. But Router, the underlying SPA framework that TanStack Start builds on top of, that's been stable for a while. And again, the adoption rate is up and to the right, and it's growing very, very fast. Like it's universally loved. It is incredibly impressive, easy to use, type safe. It's very, very type safe. Tanner absolutely loves type safety, and I love him for that. It's a great. They always have escape hatches for whatever unhinged, degenerate use case that you have. They got you. They will let you do whatever you need. It's a pit of success. I've had a lot of struggles using Next's app directory. There's a lot of foot guns there, a lot of frustrations. TanStack router and start has sort of been the breath of fresh air for me. That where it's sort of hands off and it lets me do whatever I need to do, and I'm just really excited for it.
That's awesome. Would you be able to explain some of the other things that TanStack comes along with? So we talked about Start. I know this stream is about Start, but more about router and query and all those other kind of open source tools that come along with it.
Absolutely. So the big selling point for me with Start is isomorphic loaders, and I have to give credit to sort of the OG genius that sort of, I mean, he didn't invent it. Like, this is a common theme with him. He didn't invent it, but he made it popular. I'm talking about Ryan Carniato. Like, he did not invent signals, but he made it so that everybody wants to use signals in their JavaScript framework, unless you're React, in which case you'll never have it. Solid Start came before TanStack Start, and isomorphic loaders is the thing. So if you look at things like Remix, where you'll have a loader, but it always runs on the server, right? So anytime you navigate, they have client loaders too, but that's a different thing. And you get sort of this impedance mismatch where you might want to have an SPA where each individual page might have like 10 different pieces of data, which is not remotely unusual or surprising for a big web application. But if that loader is always running on the server, it's always going to all run or not run at all. But you might be on the client, you might invalidate one little piece of data, and you might just need to refetch that one piece of data. But if it's coming from a server-side loader, the whole thing needs to rerun, which is kind of wasteful. It's kind of risky. You might have some things slow down. You could move all the way over to the SPA and just use React Query and request everything from the client. But now you have that initial render performance problem where now the initial render is going to be slower because you're waiting for all those network round trips. Isomorphic loaders are a really cool best of all worlds where it will run on the server for that initial render, but after that, everything runs on the client. That same loader is now going to run on the client, which means if you're using React Query, you can invalidate any individual piece of data because that loader that now runs on the client is tightly integrated with React Query. All these sort of tools come together and integrate cohesively that gives you, the engineer, the ability to sort of be flexible and performant. Kind of the best of all worlds. That's what I keep trying to say, and I hope I'm doing it clearly.
Definitely. Let me see. So I'm going to go back to the TanStack website, and I am going to get into, I want to check out the docs as well. Let me see here. So it seems like it should be pretty easy to get up and running. Getting started, starting from scratch, TanStack, blah, blah, blah. Quick start, PNPM, NPM, the fastest way to get Start project up and running with the CLI. So, let me copy this. Let me see if I can share screen here. Let me open up my terminal. Present. Share screen. Window. Entire screen. I have to actually have this on the screen itself. Good times, good times. Where is my terminal?
Don't lose the terminal. You might need that.
I'm telling you, man. Here we go. All right, so it should be on the same screen. Perfect.
Did you say you work with Linux a lot?
Yeah, you would think so.
You can't
would
find
think
your
I would know
terminal?
what I'm doing. I'm telling you. Share. All right, can we see this? Add to stage. Sweet. Let's go into a new spot here. All right. I am using Warp, so let's see. Let's go clear. Let's do this one here. Let's run npm create TanStack start at latest. Sure. This should be working. There we go.
I was on a 56K modem. What's going on?
I know, I'm telling you. It's like beep, 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 beep. What is going on here?
Oh, you got an old version of Node, my guy. What do we?
I have to switch back and do various versions of Node because with what we do with our ELS solution for Angular, AngularJS, I got to constantly move back and forth between versions of Node.
Node 18, my God, holy.
Yep. Yeah, you'd be surprised at how many people are still running old versions of Angular, older versions of AngularJS. So when I do testing or when I'm showing off demos, the only way our solution works is if you are running those older versions of Node with those versions of Angular. Let's do Netlify. And I don't know what any of these are.
You can check query. That's all you really need.
Would you like, do I want any examples like TanStack chat?
Yeah, do it. Actually, hit spacebar and let's check it out.
Sure. Oh, shit. Did I do it? I think I did it.
I don't think you did. No, you had none.
Oops.
Well, we can rerun it and it'll probably go faster. All those NPM stuff is in cache.
Yeah. Come on, let's go. I like how they're the output with the diamond and the spinning little loader. That's cool.
I want to shout out to Jack Harrington. I think he did a lot of love on this CLI tool. So props to him.
Jack's good people. I've spoken at a conference with Jack before.
Great people.
Come on. It's probably just because my internet is super, super low right now. Got so many things running on our Wi-Fi.
The snow is slowing down the internet, I think.
I know. Damn snow.
Props to the Lions. Good year. They've on a run.
Yeah, the Red Wings are doing. The Red Wings they're up and down. Lions are okay. The Pistons though. The Pistons are killing it. All right. Yeah. TanStack Start app is ready in demo. Let's CD demo.
Yeah, CD demo. That's the step I didn't do before. That's why it failed, because I'm just not good at what I do. But we got Chris here.
npm run dev. Let's see. Okay. NVM use latest. NVM use 20.
I would do 22, I think.
NVM use 22. Do I have it installed? Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Netlify Vite. Oh, okay, cool. So it uses Vite under the hood. Adding local Netlify folder, environment loaded, middleware loaded. Let's see here. And then I'm going to kill this. Remove that, and then reshare. Stop screen. I think this is it, right? Boom. Bam. We got TanStack Start running on localhost 3000. Well, now I'm going to have to start playing around with this.
It's a lot of fun. It's a great stack. I love it.
API routes, full streaming support, next generation ready.
Middleware is the other big piece. If it's I'm sorry, let's finish this thread here. You're still spinning it up. You stopped sharing, by the way. I don't know if that was intentional.
Oh, yeah, probably. Here, I'm going to stop sharing anyways. No, that's really cool. I might have to start using that and kind of move off of... I mean, I love using Vite, right? But even if I use TanStack, Vite is under the hood, right? So is there much of a difference between just using Vite out of the box? Or should, excuse me, or should I use TanStack?
If you're using TanStack, it ships with its own build tool and it uses Vite. So there's a Vite config somewhere that you can tweak if you need to. Same options as before. If there's a plugin that you need to use, you can add that in, no problem.
Okay, cool. So you were talking about middleware. Let's talk about middleware.
That's the other big piece. That's the other big impressive thing that TanStack Start ships with. And that's the third blog post that I mentioned. So you have sort of server-side API endpoints, and you can also have server functions, which are very similar. Server functions are a little bit special. They're not publicly accessible. It's just a special RPC type function that you can define, and then you call it from the server, or you can call it from the client, and it will scaffold whatever network request that you need. And then you can add middleware to it. You can run custom client-side code before your whole server-side chain of code executes, and then you can run server-side code before your whole server-side chain executes. And then on the down slope of the hill, you can run code on the server after your server-side chain executes, and then you can run client-side code to clean it up. And the possibilities there are just endless. The big sort of impressive thing that you can put together with that, as soon there's some work being done on middleware. Like I said, it's still in release candidate. Tanner is working really hard to finish up middleware, but you can actually do single flight mutations with middleware. You can sort of decorate when you have the React query integration set up. You can decorate server function calls with some special middleware that is coded up right against the React query APIs, and you can track what data are in your React query cache. You can specify which types of query keys your mutation relates to, and you can invalidate and you can refetch on the server, and you can send down updated data after your server function executes via middleware, and you can update your client-side React query cache on the client and get updated data and updated query results with just one round trip across the server. Because of middleware, it is just insanely flexible. It'll let you do pretty much whatever you want, which is a common theme with TanStack Query and TanStack Router and TanStack Start. It gives you incredibly powerful primitives, and it just steps back and lets you build whatever you can possibly imagine or want, which is why I just love this stack so much.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I'm going to pull up. I just had it up, but I'm going to pull it back up. Where's it at? I'm going to probably have to go back to the... Is it right there? Yeah, let me go back to this and then share my screen again. Share. Cool. And then let me put it back up. So I wanted to add this. This is the blog, and I dropped a link in the chat, but I just want to run through it real quick. Introducing TanStack Start middleware.
This does not yet cover the single flight mutations. Tanner is wrapping up a few very niche edge cases that are a little bit broken in middleware, but everything in this post should work. This sets up some observability, some logging, some tracing. Yeah.
Awesome. Now this seems like a really, and I highlight it right here. This post will be a gentle introduction to middleware. I think we need more of that. I think we need more gentle introductions to a lot of technology. When I create content, I try to, and like I was alluding to when you gave your conference talk at Commit Your Code, I want to create content that is consumable. I want to be able to speak to people where the content is consumable, and it's not just over everybody's head. Because I've always made the correlation between creating something that's super technical, super jargony, and something that's easily consumable. Because if you are writing or you're speaking, I guess this works more with like blog posts and stuff like that. But if you're creating content, video, or you're writing, and it's over someone's head, and they have to go Google what SSR is, right? Now you're leaving your experience and they're going somewhere else to somebody that can explain it better. And that's something that we don't want, especially in the world of DevRel, right? Or even just in content creation in general. So I like that you highlight that the post is a general introduction to middleware, and then you just break things down in an easily consumable format.
Yeah, well said. I agree strongly. We talk about server functions because middleware attaches to server functions.
Wow. This is a great article.
Thank you. Yeah, big shout out to Front End Masters. They have been really wonderful and supportive, and we make a great team. Chris Coyer, the creator of CSS Tricks, he's my editor. I work with him directly, and of course Mark Robansky. He's wonderful to work with.
No, that's cool. I love how the code snippets. I like how that's formatted.
Yeah,
that's sweet.
Creator CSS Tricks. Yeah, you expect nothing less.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked on CSS Tricks when I was at my last company. I kind of brought it back to life when I was there. So
after the DigitalOcean acquisition.
Yeah, because I was at DO at the time.
Oh my God, really? Good for
Yeah,
you.
we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, thanks for resurrecting it, man. That's great work.
This is a cool blog post. I'm gonna share out all of your blog posts on Twitter and LinkedIn, Adam.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
At TanStack. So, well, we're getting to be that time. If you do, you have any resources for someone that wants to get started beside the TanStack site? Is there a YouTube channel, any Twitter accounts that anybody could follow, blog posts besides your amazing ones on Front End Masters?
Follow Tanner Lindsley, obviously. Manuel, he's on Twitter. I'm gonna tweet it out shortly after this, and then Chris, you can add that to your. You said you're going to tweet out the Front End Masters links. I'll get some good TanStack maintainers that are great to follow. I should have done that already, but we'll get that out along with the links. Those blog posts I mentioned are pretty good introductions. They will give you the why you should think TanStack is cool. And if you agree, then you can head over to the docs and you can get into all the gross details, the wonderfully gross details. Beyond that, I don't think I have anything else in terms of resources. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything that you want to plug? Any conferences you're going to be at? Any new blog posts coming out?
All the normal ones, React Miami and Render ATL, commit your code, obviously. This year, I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to finally make it to Magnolia Conf. I love Kayla Sween and her husband, Richard, great people. I always see them at the other conferences, but this is the year I'm going to finally make it down to Mississippi and check it out in person.
Yeah.
So they better keep doing it. They better have at least one more year in that conference because I need to check it out.
Magnolia is a good conference. I've been speaking there for a handful of years, even when it was virtual. I spoke at it virtual, and then they took off last year, but I spoke the year before in person. Was there this year in person? So it's they put on a really good show. The food's amazing. It's one that you don't want to miss. It's super small, but it's intimate at the same time. I don't know if you caught the verbose mode that I did with Jason Torres, but we talked about the huge community feeling that you get there, and that because it is a smaller event, you have interactions that you wouldn't have with people at bigger events, like 3, 4, 5,000 people events. Like someone that you know that you might see all the time might not be sitting with another friend of yours at 1,000-person event. But this one, you're sitting at the same table, and instead of like the hallway track, I call it the table track. So it's a really, really good event.
Yeah, I love the smaller conferences. They're real. They can be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Adam. We got to do this again when we got some more blog posts and we got some other cool stuff that Tanner has put out and that whole team. Let's talk about it. I'm sure the community wants to hear. So
this has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you, brother. If you're not following me, you're not following Adam, you're not following TuxCare, make sure you do all that. We will not be streaming next week. We will be in London, England for Black Hat Europe. I am giving a conference talk at Black Hat. It's a 25-minute talk on node modules and transitive dependencies. So that's where we will be next week. The following week, we will be streaming. And then after that, we are on Christmas break. So we won't have a stream for a couple weeks. So stay tuned to my Twitter. Stay tuned to the TuxCare Twitter. And we are going to rock and roll. Catch y'all on the flip. Peace.